Hi, my name is Ainsley, and we're going to answer some questions about dogs from 5th and 6th graders. Anoom asks, why are their noses wet?
Good question. So dogs have an incredible sense of smell, and they have these little mucosal glands in their nose that secretes this really thin, watery, like mucosal secretion, essentially. And that helps bring in information that they then send to those scent receptors. They have like 600 million scent receptors, and so those two things kind of work in conjunction with each other to really increase the dog's ability to sense the world around them.
Anna asks, how do you know if a dog has allergies?
Making sure that your dog is healthy is super, super important. So when a dog has allergies, often they're itchy or they're sneezy, kind of like people are if you get seasonal allergies. So you might notice some redness around the skin. They might start itching or chewing on their paws in different areas. So look out for that redness, look out for that really, really itchiness, and that might be an indicator that your dog has allergies. But the best way to know is to have mom or dad talk to your veterinarian, do a physical exam, and see what they see.
Alexis is wondering, what do you do with a wound if you get bit by a dog?
Wound care is super important. So dogs have a lot of bacteria in their mouth. So if you do get bit, you're going to want to wash that area with an antiseptic like chlorhexidine, or Hibiclens is kind of the normal word or brand for chlorhexidine. But if you're out and about, say you don't have access to an antiseptic cleaner, or you can't wash your hands right away, and it's bleeding, let it bleed. Don't try to wipe it away with anything, but blood can actually be a cleanser as well. So if you don't have instant access to soap and water or an antiseptic cleaner, let it bleed, and then when you get somewhere where you can wash it, physically scrub it and use an antiseptic cleaner on that wound.
Aubrey asks, if a dog charges at you and you have a dog or a baby with you, what do you do?
Ooh, if a dog charges you anytime, you're gonna stand like a tree in a baby tree. So what I mean by baby tree is you're gonna tuck those hands up under your arms like this, stand still and take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Having another dog with you or having a baby with you is gonna be tough, obviously, because that's an extra component, but you can grab them, hold them, move out of the direction slowly. Don't run, don't make a lot of noise, don't scream, but give time for another adult to see what's going on and come in to help you. If you wanna call for help, but do it quietly and calmly. Like, don't yell, help, I need help. That can trigger that dog to potentially come in even further and even faster. So just, hey, I need help, someone get control of this dog, there's an off-leash dog, please help, that kind of thing.
Harrison asked, how do you keep a dog from jumping on you?
So dogs jump on each other naturally to engage each other. It's a very natural dog-to-dog behavior, so it's hard for dogs sometimes to learn that we don't really like being jumped on as much as they like to jump on us. So one of the things that I'll do is I'll beat them to the punch. I start taking my treats or my toy, and as they come running for me and I know they're gonna jump on me, I extend my hand out with that treat or with that toy, and I do that repetitively every time they approach me, so they start seeing where that engagement's gonna happen. So if they reach me and they jump on me, I don't really engage with them much. I kind of turn away and move out of the equation. One of the reasons that dogs can be very, very jumpy is if their needs aren't being met. If they have a high physical or a mental stimulation need and they aren't quite getting that, they can be a little bit more jumpy and a little bit more hyperactive. So always make sure that your dog's needs are being met mentally and physically, and that will help the whole entire process. But beat them to the punch. Show them what will give your engagement to them, such as that treat, that toy, or the affection, if your dog likes to be pet, that you're going to come to them when all four paws are on the floor, and you're going to beat them to the punch before they ever even get the chance to lift those two paws off the ground.
Claire is wondering, my dog whines to go to the bathroom, and when I open the door, she doesn't go. What does she need?
So if your dog is whining to go to the bathroom to go outside and you open the door and she doesn't go out, chances are it's not going to the bathroom that she needs. Chances are she has learned that this is something that gets her attention, that engages the people around her. So she's asking you to engage with her. She probably has another need, like, I didn't get enough playtime today, or I really would like some one-on-one time with you, or can we play ball or with a toy? But dogs will often learn that when they do something that will trigger a human to do something, i.e. I go to the door and I want to go out, my human comes and pays me that attention, they'll use that learned behavior to engage you in other ways. So it sounds like maybe your dog needs a little more one-on-one time or a little playtime, or might have another need.
Isabella asked, is it normal that my dog eats grass? What should I do?
Yes, so dogs put all sorts of things in their mouth. Some of them start off as puppies, where they just like to explore with their mouth and they're going to eat different things, and we have to teach them what's safe and what's not safe to eat, of course. Some dogs latch onto that and hold on to that even through adulthood. It's another way that they can smell things by experiencing it, so they'll eat them. So if the dog is eating grass, but there really isn't any vomiting or upset stomach or anything like that, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Another reason that dogs will eat grass is a coping mechanism. So some dogs, if they're feeling a little bit stressed or a little bit anxious, They'll kind of grab at the grass and do what I call is goading to try to cope with that or get some of that energy out from that stress. So that's another reason. And then another reason they might eat grass is because they do have an upset stomach and maybe they're trying to vomit or trying to throw it up. So if they eat enough grass, sometimes that can get things going in the stomach to where they will actually vomit.
Helen asked, how do you train a dog to do things in general?
When you're thinking about trying to teach your dog something, remember that they don't speak our language. They mostly learn from our body language. So what I want to do is help my dog think and figure out what it is that I'm trying to get them to do using my body. And I'm also going to do that using things that my dog really likes. So if I want my dog to do something for me, what can I do for my dog that my dog really likes? Do they like to play with a squeaky toy? Do they like to play tug? Do they really like treats and they're very, very food motivated? I'm going to use whatever it is that my dog really likes to reinforce them and reward them essentially for doing the things and playing along the teaching game with me or the learning game with me so that I can teach them different things. So for example, if I want to teach my dog to sit and my dog is treat motivated, I might have my treat out here and I'm going to move my hands using body language in a way that will cause them to kind of back up and look up at that treat. And then the second their little bottom hits the ground, boom, I'm going to let go of that treat and give them that reinforcer or that reward. So I'm using something that the dog or the puppy really likes to get something that I want the puppy to be able to do. So there's a number of different ways, but ultimately it simplistically boils down to using your body to shape and show your dog what it is that you want by using that body language and reinforcement, and then also using whatever it is that they really like to engage them and keep them motivated to keep learning with you.
Brecken asked, what is the worst breed to have if you have allergies?
What is the worst breed to have if you have allergies? Ooh, that's a tough one. Probably Shar-Pei. I don't know this for a fact, but Shar-Pei, like their hair, the way that it sticks to you and sticks in your skin, I feel like even people who aren't allergic to dogs can get really agitated by Shar-Pei hair. So that would be my guess on that one.
Bersa asked, what does it mean when my dog bites me but doesn't mean to hurt me?
Ooh, great question. What does it mean when my dog bites me but doesn't mean to hurt me? So dogs play with their mouth. They engage each other with their mouth and they bite and they chomp and they use their toys. It can instigate play. They can get you going. Some herding breeds use it to kind of control different environments or different situations with nipping. But oftentimes when a dog is using their mouth and they're not trying to hurt you, it's not aggressive in any form. It's just a way to engage you in play. Now, it's not great to get a dog used to putting their mouth on your skin. So for something like this, I often recommend taking a toy, and every time your dog goes to put their mouth on you, go ahead and give them that toy and play with them and get them really excited about playing with that toy, but disengage when they put their mouth on your skin just to keep things safe. But generally, that means they want to play.
Lainey's wondering, do male and female dogs act differently?
Sometimes male and female dogs do act differently, and that is really tied to hormones. So male dogs and female dogs have different types of hormones. A lot of them are the same, but they also have different levels of those hormones, and sometimes those can cause some behavior differences. So for example, like if a female is going through a heat cycle or a female is recently delivered, she has puppies, she might act very differently than she would during a time where she doesn't have puppies or she's not in a heat cycle. Males that still have lots of testosterone and are intact can be more territorial. They can mark more. Marking is what males do when they leave little messages with their urine in little areas where they go to say, hey, I've been here, this is my territory, or they want to communicate with other animals in the area. So yeah, females can mark too, and it's really individual based, but certainly males and females based on their hormone fluctuations can sometimes act differently than one another.
Logan asked, how do you know when a dog is sick?
Excellent responsible dog owner question, Logan. When your dog is not acting normal, so your dog has a normal baseline, their activity level, how they normally feel, how they move about, what their routine looks like, how often they sleep, how often they eat, how much they love food, how frequently they engage with you. So if any of these things start changing, that's a good indication that maybe they might be getting sick. Now, dogs don't often show sickness as well as like a human would. They're very stoic in nature. They try to hide some of that, so it's not always super obvious. But the biggest indicator, if you really want to know if your dog might be getting sick, is if they're doing something that they don't normally do. Did they not have an appetite today and not eat one of their favorite treats? Are they sleeping more than usual? Are they more defensive of their body? For example, if normally they're fine with you touching and approaching, you touch and approach and they might give a little growl. So any little thing that says they're not acting like their normal self, especially if it's for multiple days in a row, might be a good indicator that your dog might be sick. If you think your dog is sick, no matter what, it's always a good idea to take them in for a vet visit just to make sure, because your veterinarian is going to know best.
Bree said, I give my older dog fish oil for a shiny coat, but their coat isn't very shiny. What should I do?
Ooh, good question for your veterinarian. So if your dog's coat is not very shiny, even though you're supplementing with something like fish oil, which is great, has omega-3s and omega-6s in it, that's something to talk to your veterinarian about, because it might be a nutritional requirement, something that they aren't getting in their diet, or there could be an underlying medical problem that needs to be addressed. So that's something that I would definitely talk with your veterinarian about to help kind of tease out the reasons that even though you're providing extra skin support, skin and coat support, maybe there's too much omega-6 and it's causing an inflammatory response, or there's allergies, or there's an underlying medical or nutritional reason, and your vet's going to be the best person to talk to about that.
Luke asked, what is the key factor in how long a dog will live?
Oh, Luke, good question. How long will your dog live in terms of what are the key factors determining the length of your dog's life? I love this because you want to know how long your best friend's going to be around and what you can do to give them the best possible longest life. There's a lot of factors that go into this. Everything from health and wellness, genetics, how are they genetically? Do they have any predispositions to things like heart problems or any other type of disease that might shorten their length of life? Do they have any traumatic experiences? What is their stress level like? A couple things that you can do to help create a longer, healthier lifestyle. Number one, make sure your dog's needs are met. Are they getting all that mental and physical stimulation that they need? Are you keeping their body active and moving and strong, just like you want to keep your body active and moving and strong? That, and are you using nutrition or food to fuel their body? So having a really high quality diet, having high quality nutrition is one of those ways to help extend the life of a dog, because you're supporting their internal systems as much as possible. And then one of the other key factors that I would say is develop a really good relationship with your veterinarian, because dogs don't always show outward signs of what might be going on inside of their body, and having that annual lab work and those annual examinations, or that biannual lab work and biannual examinations when they get up into those golden senior years, that's one of the best ways to hit a problem head on before it becomes a really big problem, and that often can extend the life of your dog as well.
Talon asked, what are the biggest and smallest dog breeds?
Talon, what are the biggest and smallest dog breeds? Okay, I'm gonna guess on this one. We might have to do some Google search here. Biggest dog breeds. I would say like maybe the tallest breed would likely be something like an Irish Wolfhound. I think they're one of the tallest breeds, or maybe even a Deerhound. Biggest, something like big and heavy and thick, would probably be one of the Mastiff breeds, like an English Mastiff or a Bull Mastiff, maybe like a Boer Bull, Great Dane. Great Danes aren't as thick, so maybe one of the Mastiff breeds. Smallest, I think Chihuahuas are one of the smallest breeds. They're pretty tiny, but there's a lot of different like teacup breeds out there, like teacup Yorkies, but I think the Chihuahuas might be one of the smallest breeds.
Mama Ame asked, what are the lightest and heaviest dog breeds?
The lightest and heaviest, right in line with Talon's question. I think the heaviest breeds are the Mastiff breeds. I think like your English Mastiff, your Bull Mastiff, Neapolitan Mastiff, I think that might be, again, a good Google search, are some of your heaviest dog breeds. Lightest, small Min Pins can be like 6 pounds, some of your teacup breeds, but I think your Chihuahuas are still the winning category for the smallest and the lightest breed of dog.
Anna is wondering, what is the rule of 3 in dog training?
What is the rule of 3 in dog training? Ooh, good question, Anna. So the rule of 3 pertains to an adjustment period when we're developing relationships with dogs that we've just gotten, or puppies that we've just gotten. So for example, starting with 3, 3, and 3, if we're looking at 3 days is our decompression period to just adjust to a new environment in general. So whether you just brought your new puppy home or you've adopted a puppy from the shelter or a dog from the shelter, really 3 days is just all hands off, quiet, calm, getting them used to the home, their surroundings, their environments, and not really doing a whole lot with them aside from just letting them get used to things. 3 weeks is your next 3. So first 3 days, then next is 3 weeks. Your 3-week period is your honeymoon phase. This is where your dog is going to take some time to really show their real personality. Dogs are protective of themselves, especially when they don't know certain people. Just like when you first meet people, you don't really tell them all there is to know about you. Some of it you reserve, and some things you'll only tell the people that you really learn to trust. So dogs are very similar in this way, to where they're not going to show you their entire personality just yet. They want to get to know you a little bit. So as you're creeping up to that week 3 mark, you'll start to see some different parts or pieces or traits come out of their personality that you might not have seen before, because they're starting to get comfortable and they're starting to let set some of those behaviors out. The next 3 in the 3-3-3 is your 3-month mark. Your 3-month mark is when the dog is really comfortable, has gotten used to the routine, has gotten used to the family, and they're really starting to bond with you. So this is where you can really kick things up a notch, and you can do all these different fun activities, and you can expect more out of your training and expect more out of that relationship, as long as you've done all of the things to really help cultivate that relationship that 3 months leading up to that point.
Corinne asked, can dogs talk to each other?
They don't talk to each other the same way we do as much. They do vocalize, so we use our voice to talk to one another, but dogs more so speak to each other with body language. So their body posture, whether they're stiff, whether they're relaxed, the position of their tail, everything from the skin and their forehead and their facial features down to their paws. Though there is some verbalizations, dogs can use growling or barking or howling, and those are ways to communicate it as well. But primarily, dogs use body language to communicate and to quote unquote talk to each other.
Anum asked, what are common diseases in dogs?
So we're in the southeast, and I would say one of the most prevalent diseases here is heartworm disease, unfortunately, because the mosquitoes here carry it. They're a vector. Pretty much every dog gets the baby heartworms. Here in the southeast needs to be on heartworm preventive in order to kill those so that they don't grow into mature adult heartworms. I would say heartworm disease is definitely one of the biggest ones that we see kind of in that southeast region of the United States. We also see parvovirus a good bit, which is a completely preventable disease. It just requires a vaccination series to help prevent that. Super, super important. And then also distemper, I'd say, is another one. Distemper is a really devastating upper respiratory disease. Hey, little bird. Upper respiratory disease that can also be prevented with a vaccine. So those would be some of my tops.
Colton asked, what is the fastest dog and the slowest dog?
Ooh, the fastest dog and the slowest dog. Okay, fastest dog I'm pretty sure is the greyhound. I'm not 100%, good Google search, but I think it is the greyhound. They are amazing. That's why they run greyhound races, just because of how incredibly fast they are. Slowest dog, if I'm thinking about body conformation, I'm gonna go with like an English bulldog, probably, especially the really smushy, flat-faced English bulldogs. They're just not really built for speed the way that they move. Same with like Frenchies or even pugs. I think pug would be a good example of a slower breed. So I'm not sure what the slowest one is, but if I'm thinking about like the way their bodies are shaped, they're not built for speed. I'm gonna go with English bulldog on that one.
Ryan asked, what is your favorite breed of dog?
What is my favorite breed of dog? Aw, that is a very sweet question. I'd have to say American Pit Bull Terriers. I adore American Pit Bull Terriers. They are tenacious, they are human driven, they're incredibly athletic, they have a great long lifespan, and they're just super, super versatile dogs. I also have a really soft spot for them because they're incredibly misunderstood. A lot of people are afraid of Pit Bulls or American Pit Bull Terriers, and so for me, that makes them kind of an underdog, and they really have a soft spot in my heart. But they are truly versatile, amazing, friendly, athletic dogs.
Massimo asked, why do dogs like beef better than fish?
That's an individual preference. Some dogs actually really like fish better than they like beef, and they like turkey better than they like venison. Just like you and me, how we have our different tastes, our likes and our dislikes. Some people really like sugar, and some people really like salty things. Dogs are the same way too. So when it comes to their foods, dogs will often show preference, whether it's a preference towards a specific protein or a specific diet or a specific treat. So it's kind of fun to get some different diets and put them out there in front of your dog and see what they naturally gravitate towards or what they naturally like. The more you know about your dog, the better. The more that you can work with them and build that bond with them based on you knowing what their preferences are, just like knowing your dog happens to like beef more than fish.
Marco is wondering, is there a language that dogs speak?
They mostly use body language. I think someone else asked this question as well. So just to go over it, they're going to use their body, their tails, their ears, their body position and posture, whether they're curved in or whether they're standing straight and up. And mostly they're going to communicate with that body. They will have some vocalizations, little growls, barks, howls, things like that. But for the most part, dogs speak with their body. So it's good to know, because when you're working with a dog and you're trying to teach them or communicate with them, the first thing you need to think of is, how can I use my body to communicate with my dog, not my voice?
Ellery asked, are there dogs that are more likely to be aggressive naturally?
So there are breeds that are bred specifically for more guardian purposes. They just have different tendencies than some other dogs. So for example, golden retrievers are bred to, specifically bred to be more friendly and open to all sorts of different people and be more outgoing than your average breed. Does not mean all golden retrievers will be that way. It just means we've bred them to most likely be that way. Whereas something like an Anatolian Shepherd, for example, is going to be more independent, doesn't want to be around a whole lot of people, might really just prefer their family members, their close family members, and they might make a lot of decisions independent of their people, whereas golden retrievers are going to rely on their people a lot more for decision making. So your Anatolian Shepherd has more likelihood of being guardy against other people or other animals than, say, your golden retriever. Same thing with like a German Shepherd or Malinois. We breed them for things like protection sports or bite work and protection. So there's more of a likelihood that they will exhibit those what we consider aggressive traits to very specific people or very specific animals based on how we've bred them. But naturally, well, it doesn't mean they're going to be any more aggressive towards their family members or the people that train them. They're easier to shape to be more protective or guardy towards outside people or different people, if that makes sense. So no, there aren't really dogs that are naturally more aggressive just across the board, but because we've bred them to do different jobs, it can kind of come across that way based on what we train them to do and when, and what their natural personalities are more like.
Corinne asked, how do dogs understand humans?
Domesticated dogs are one of the only species of a handful that have really evolved to pay attention to our body language, our facial expressions, and they actually kind of learn to train us too. Dogs have developed, as we've bred them for our companionship, to learn our behavior, to watch our body language, to listen to our tone. If you ever notice, if you speak like this to a dog, they kind of get all excited and all happy. They learn all these different things about us, and they have evolved to really learn how to take all of these pieces and parts with spending so much time with us to learn what we like, what we don't like, and what different things kind of carry different meanings. When it comes to dogs understanding humans, it's not so much about what we say, that they understand what we're saying. It's about how we act and how they pick up on those different mannerisms to understand when we're happy, when we're sad, when we're anxious. All these different little things that they key into and they observe, and over time they have evolved to be really in tune to those things and to respond to those things. And that is one of those reasons that we've formed these amazing bonds with dogs, is because they've been so good at picking up on our language and our mannerisms that they just kind of flow right into it, and they make the most wonderful companions because of it.
Harrison asks, how do you train and take care of your dogs?
This is not something innate. Actually, a lot of people don't really know, and when they get their first dog, if they don't get professional help, it can be really difficult to kind of navigate that initial part of that relationship, because they speak a different language than us. They have different likes and dislikes. They do different things that we think is crazy, like rolling on dead bugs and sniffing each other's butts. So when you really want to learn how to take good care of a dog, there's a couple different professionals that can help you out. One, a behavior professional, to learn about dog communication and to learn about different dog behaviors, and not only how to understand those behaviors, but then how to respond to those behaviors in a positive way. So that's number one, a behavior professional. Number two would be a dog trainer, because your dog trainer is going to teach you all the teaching things so that you can learn all those fun skills with your dog in a fun way. So learning things like sit and down and heel, and maybe playing dog sports like teaching your dog how to catch a frisbee or to do agility. That's where your dog trainer can come in and really help speed that process of learning up for you, so you can have the most fun with your dog possible. And then the third piece of that is going to be your veterinarian, because your veterinarian is your expert in animal health. And so when you're really looking to take good care of a dog, both mentally and physically, your veterinarian is going to help you with that process the most. So a good dog behavior professional, a good dog trainer, and a good veterinarian will all help you make the most of your life with your dog and help you learn how to keep them happy and healthy along the way.
Anna asked, what are the most common boy and girl names for dogs?
It's definitely Teddy is like one of the biggest boy dog names out there right now, Teddy. I've heard a lot of Bows as well. For girls, Bella. Bella is a big one. I've met a lot of Bellas. I'd say those are probably the most common boy and girl names that I'm familiar with.
Logan asked, how do you tell breeds apart?
One of the best ways to learn about different breeds and what those characteristics are is by visiting the AKC website and the UKC website. They've got a full list of all these different dog breeds, and you can look at their shapes, their sizes, their coat colors, and all the things that make them different from one another, and all those internal things too that you can't see external, like breed characteristics, for example. When it comes to trying to figure out what breeds make up a mutt or a mixed dog, that can be really, really tough. We are actually pretty terrible at determining what mix of dog is in a dog just by visually looking at them and observing. So that is where the fun DNA testing comes in. You can send off for a DNA test, and you can send in a little sample, and they can tell you what different dog breeds make up your dog. And then you can look at those different features and see if you can pick out the ears, the eyes, the coat color, the mannerisms that match up with those DNA profiles.
Shayna asked, How do you know if a dog is about to attack you?
So dogs are pretty forward with their communication, their offensive communication and language. Most often, and this is not every time, if a dog is charging at you, if a dog is stiff and chest forward and tail up straight and ears up straight and head forward, that's a very offensive posture. If they're growling, if their hackles are up, and if they're just eye to eye, kind of locked in on you, that's a good indication that dog is upset by your presence and may likely intend to attack. In that case, you're going to stay calm and quiet, and you're going to slowly back out of the equation, and we're going to go into baby tree mode where we haven't unfurled our branches yet, and we're tucked up under arms, and we're going to back away slowly and quietly and calmly ask for help. So when a dog is about to attack, look for those different things. Hopefully you never run into this issue, but it's certainly good to know what offensive posture looks like. Very, very stiff, straight up, chest out, head forward, ears straight up, tail straight up, possibly hackles up, possibly growling.
Isabella asked, if a dog gets an injury, will it shorten their life?
It can. It doesn't mean it will. There's a lot of different injuries that dogs can sustain, and some could shorten their life. Like, for example, if your dog gets hit by a car and sustains some pretty massive internal injury, while that might not kill them, while they might have surgery or even hip replacements or things like that, it can cause the body to degrade faster than it normally would if that trauma had never happened in the first place. It's one of those reasons we want to be so protective of our dogs and make sure that we leash them, especially in areas that have a leash law or require leashes. It's about protection. But in cases like that, it can cause the body to break down faster than it normally would had that trauma not occurred, and that could essentially shorten their life. So yes, certain different injuries can shorten a dog's life based on how it affects the body long term, but not all. If they get a simple wound, laceration, cuts, things like that, generally speaking, those aren't things to be too worried about. Everybody has bumps and bruises and abrasions, and that's not anything to be too super concerned about. These were all amazing questions. Thank you, 5th and 6th graders, for taking the time to send me your questions so that I can answer them for you. I hope you learned something fun. Be sure to share this with your friends, and now take all of this amazing doggy knowledge that you have and go spread the word so everybody else can learn from all the wonderful, wonderful questions that you submitted. Thanks, guys. Take care.